What's up, H-Town and all around? This is the Dash Dispatch. We're keeping it going. We got another episode coming in. You know this voice. You know this ugly mug. It's OSG. With me on the other side, sparkling the new Cosmic Joy, that special Dash kit. Maybe not so special right now, but looking great. Andres, what's going on, man? The dynamic Foxtrot.
Yeah, man, I'm living the dream right now with this jersey. I waited a week for. It came in the day before the home opener. I couldn't wear it, unfortunately, because I was media. But man, this is probably one of the best jerseys in Dash history. Man,
Go ahead and tell us what it says on the back.
I don't have anything right now, unfortunately. But the one thing I did learn this time is to size up because the Nike jerseys are very tight. So
Damn.
for Nike jerseys, remember to size up because they're it gets very uncomfortable. So I might get it. I might get the decals for it, probably from Soccer Fall or something like that. But yeah, I wanted this jersey though because I got it from the Nike store with a gift
Nice.
card.
Nice. Well, good one. Love that friggin' jersey, man. Well, you actually went to the game. I went to the game as well. So you know what we're here, man. Here for and what we're here to talk about. It was opening day for the NWSL. Everybody played a game. Only 3 teams lost, and there was a bunch of ties across the league. So Portland lost, Chicago lost, and then we lost. So technically we are 15th, but tied for last place in the standings because of our negative. No, I wouldn't call it negative. Negative by the fact that we are less than they are. So the 2-1 score to the Washington Spirit. But man, before we get into the details of the game and jump into how we saw the game and our perspective of it, let's start with the pregame, and we unsuspecting. We don't, you could say you don't know what to expect as far as the lineup was going to be and what Fabrice was going to put out there because you just don't know that much. Preseason was very kind of quiet, only a couple times starting lineup, but you got to see the starting lineup, and it was. What would you think of the starting lineup, man? We can run through it real quick. Campbell on the goal. You knew that. You had Patterson, Katie Lynn getting the start. We were happy. Natalie Jacobs as a partner, and then Paige Nielsen, of course, on the back line. Yes, Avery Patterson on that back line, but pushing into the attack a lot. The Avery Patterson way. Colaprico started. Smith started. Sheehan started. Ryan started. And then it was Messiah Bryant. Even Vieira started. Bart, your girl Barb. Am I missing one? But it was I think we kind of predicted the lineup pretty dang close. So what you saw, man? What'd you think that we were gonna? What were you gonna expect going into that game? Now that you've seen the starting lineup, and we just don't know what the style of play is going to be, but what kind of confidence did it give you, or did it give you lack of confidence?
Honestly, I was expecting a lot of things since it was going to be a toss up. No preseason scrimmages to watch or just come out of like with an educated guess. But I was mostly just impressed with the fact like midfield we just went full experience, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's mostly just to like try anchoring things down. And I saw like a lot of flashes like with like when it comes to those type of players with enough experience to like drive the game forward. And yeah, because initially I didn't expect like particularly Colaprico and Sheehan to get their debuts like right away, but they did. So something to look forward to. And of course, whenever we talk about the game itself, we can definitely get into like how they perform and all that. But other than that, I feel like that was my biggest surprise. Like a lot of the big names that I expected to play did play, and yeah, just like mostly just still waiting for players to come back from injury, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is right
Well,
now.
and a couple surprises in that lineup. Well, basically the bench, but Zoe Matthews was missing from the bench,
Right.
and we don't know if he was healthy or not, but not healthy. Bachman was not even on the bench, but she was at the stadium. There was Heather Hens is hurt now. She was at the stadium as well to watch the game. But man, it was that was a kind of little bit of surprise with Zoe Matthews not even making the bench, and then Bachman, I think, was just not. I guess they said he wasn't fit and ready yet, which is I don't know, whatever, surprising. But those were the only surprises for me. So now, once the game started and it kicked off, the main thing that we were wondering about was Fabrice and what was the style that we were going to kind of come out with, basically with the formation and everything. So you saw 4-4-2 defending, a 4-5-3-5-2 pushing into the attacker, 3-4-3. What were your first perspective of you, and particularly the style, not necessarily the result, but what did you think of the style that Fabrice was coming out with?
I had the impression that they were going to be very conservative heading into their first game of in official capacity, like playing all together in this game plan that Fabrice is trying to establish. And I felt like that was the thing right here. Of course, we're talking about Washington Spirit. We've already mentioned several times that they're one of the best teams in the league, and I feel like it was pretty smart for Fabrice to not take any chances here because they're Washington is just capable of doing all kinds of things. They did a lot of damage without Rodman, like just available off the bench, and I feel like it helped a little bit. And of course, defensively speaking, we were pretty sound in some occasions. Uh, some of those occasions definitely needed to improve, but other than that, I felt like the game plan itself had a lot of great ideas and still plenty of season to see how it develops. But for the time being, I felt like the application itself and how Fabrice worded things out or justified it, for me, I felt comfortable.
That's good. The first 15 for me, let's just go ahead and go first 30 because Washington scored in the 16th minute and the 30th minute. It looked like we were, doing okay. Washington was pushing against us, but not pushing too hard. There was a couple times where, and obviously the first goal where they just left the right side of the field open in the box too, and it was just an easy goal to put away. So was it because of all the new players? Did it just take time for them to come together, or was it just the kick in the ass that we're going to talk about later at halftime?
I feel like Washington's like so well built that they're just able to make something out of nothing. And that first goal like was evidence of that because granted it was mostly just like a defensive mistake on our end, but they just have that window of opportunity and they're gonna capitalize. And I feel like that was the theme of the game for Washington. Also considering that we're pretty much technically an inexperienced squad that's still looking to apply everything that Fabrice has been teaching them for like an entire preseason, and it kind of makes sense because that's the kind of type of game plan you want to have for teams that are still trying to get to know each other, and for Washington, especially in the first half, it worked out for them very well.
I like the fact that when we came out and started the game, that not only did we use the width of the field, but we were giving Messiah Bright the ball at her feet quite often, and even trying to give it to her in her feet in the box as well. But it wouldn't matter what part of the field of the offensive half it was we were in. She was trying to play and be involved, and she was actually having great control where she received it and getting passes back off and continuing to attack. So I like how we were, you're playing the width like you were supposed to. You're moving the ball in and out. You're making yourself unpredictable. And Washington has to decide where they're going to defend more. And then you're going to find your holes and work your way through. But, those two goals were just, man, quick and defensive, and, defensively embarrassing. And I think the girls admitted that too as well. And it was just tough for us seeing it because, of course, we're sitting in front of our own goal right there where the media box is. So you get to see it clear as day whenever a goal scored on that end of the stadium, on the south end of the stadium. But, man, it was you saw like both times just the defense was just kind of disorganized and discombobulated. But I mean, the only new player in the system right there was Katie Lynn, so it's not to throw any blame on the Katie Lynn. It's what because that's only just one player out of the four, plus your midfielder Sophie Smith, maybe Colaprico. Is it? There's got to be cohesiveness there. Was it just a miscommunication, or do they still need more time because Katie Lynn is that centerpiece, and you do have to work around that center back whenever you are playing your defensive role?
For me, I'll definitely say that a part of the gelling process, or just a process of all these players trying to get to know each other. Granted, Katie Lynn just came out of maternity leave and has like a lot of belief coming out of the coaching staff. It really comes down to the chemistry of like everyone in the back line, and there could just be like a lot of finger pointing to like ease the pain a little bit personally, but of course there's not, because this team believes in each other. The way you can just hear from like the press conferences, that if you're able to hear it, by the way, like they know what they have to do, um, in order for the team to succeed and just improve from those type of mistakes. Is just to keep working and believe in each other, and that has been the thing for that. At least Fabrice Gautrat has been like telling everyone that they're applying something, and it really takes, essentially it takes a village just to get that type of plan that they want to apply. Of course, against Washington is a pretty uphill battle, but I feel like they have some very great ideas.
Yeah, I agree. First half was just a kind of an okay start, and then it just kind of fell apart. And then right before at halftime, it was okay, but Washington got their 2 goals on our mistakes and their pressing, and it is what it is. But you know, uh, I clipped Fabrice from the presser from after the game, but I think it fits in right now as if it was a halftime speech. And if Andres, you want to go ahead and play one and two back to back, it's him just talking about what he told the girls at halftime, so they came back out to a different mentality.
I think obviously a little bit frustrating. I think in the first half lacked a little bit of belief into who we can be and who we are, and you could see there was a little bit of hesitancy. It wasn't tactics, it wasn't game plan, just more belief, and you saw a little more in the second half as we talked about that, and you saw which brought up a couple clips for us to look at in terms of spaces to exploit, but also how to press more effectively. And if you notice those moments when we actually did decide in the first half, we actually won the ball higher up. So talked about that, but I said, at the end of the day, this wasn't tactics. It was more drive, more conviction, more belief, and that was it. Like that.
I like that, man. It was so basically he's just saying they were just not believing in themselves and not pushing the system that they've been working on, and basically told them you showed some spurts, some moments during the first half. The staff has shown you now some spaces to take advantage of. Let's go out and play our game and win this game and come back in and make an effect. What did you get out of that from that halftime speech? Did it fire you up?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying it because if I'm a player that has been working with Fabrice and already has all these players invested into what he wants to do and where he wants to take this team, I'll definitely be fired up, especially in this situation where you're facing a very tough opponent and you still have the scoreline fairly close to still make some damage and try and get back into this game. I'll definitely be hyped about that because I want to be in that position where everyone comes together and creates that type of momentum on the field where you can essentially do a lot of things. And I feel like that was the theme for the second half.
I like it, and obviously the girls they listened and they did take it to heart, and they came out in the second half and they played a hell of a lot better. As a matter of fact, I mean, it was like definitely the tell of two halves again, and you hear that story 1,000 times. But it was a tell of two halves, and even for Washington, they were probably confused as to what was going on, even though Washington missing some good players. Trinity Rodman didn't really necessarily have a good game at all, but the Dash played very well. I know substitutions played a role into that too. Maggie Graham, uh, Evelina Duljan, especially for me, just a big difference, man. So the second half, give me your perspective of what you saw and how you saw the change that was firing on the field right there.
Positives all around. Really, the only negative aspect of it is just the final score, but just the way that all these players came in and contributed in their own way was fascinating for me. Particularly how Ryan Garys was just able to come in and create as many plays from the flank as possible. And thanks to her, they got pretty close to getting that equalizer. They were, they of course, being involved with the goal and all that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, her and Soljan, you definitely mentioned her, and for me, it was one of those players that came in and also did her did her work defensively, particularly when Rodman came in, and Soljan was not afraid of Rodman at all. She was just
Nope.
very
Take her down.
she wanted Rodman to come over and face her because she was not afraid to beat her down and take the ball away from her. And literally the play of the game, if you could call it that, look, she was just challenge. Well, Rodman challenged it for the ball, and I think Washington got it back with a foul, and Rodman was just getting on Soljan's face, and Soljan wasn't really backing down. She was chirping back at her, and the only thing standing between her and Rodman was just the referee and all the players sitting between because they were probably gonna fight. And that's the thing that's the type of passion that we're needing to see, honestly, because that's the thing that really uplifts a lot of people. Granted, it's not smart to do in certain occasions, but you face adversity like Rodman, and you see your teammate doing that, you feel like you can do a lot of things. And of course, just start throwing punches is gonna be different, but might put your team in a different situation. But just seeing that coming out of Soljan, a player that's starting out with a team like that, tells me that this team is very invested with what they want to do, and they're not afraid of that type of opponent. So it's good to see, and for me, it speaks a lot of how the second half played out for Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it took a while, but it looked good. There were opportunities coming from all sides and all directions. And like you said, Ryan Garys came in and was an instant impact playing that wing and using her speed to her advantage. She didn't lose a touch of speed. She looks great with physique, so she kept in shape. And I mean, and she took defenders on, and that's what you need. Go to goal. I leave. Take notes if you ever get to play again. All right, but that's a different show. What are we going? We're getting at, but so I'm glad you mentioned her. Whenever I mentioned the subs being a factor and everything, and just to get and the whole game changed when our substitutions really came in. It changed a little earlier as the girls were getting into the style and getting it revving, and then a couple changes Fabrice made, and then boom, here it just sparked. And like I said, it took a minute, but we did get a goal. Go ahead and play the Maggie goal, and let's see how it built up.
A year ago. Here's Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
The cross. Back post knotted down. Tapped in. Houston's within one.
I love
I
it, man.
love it.
And the Patterson cross, where you're going to expect to see 4 or 5 of those a game off her right foot, and it just happened to be even a better cross, and Ryan Garys was just right there. I'm sure that's not what she was trying to do, was head the ball down to the ground, and I'm sure she was trying to head it towards goal, but I'm not. I don't care. It worked out. Maggie was making that run into the box and was just there and just ran through the ball and made sure it got into the goal. And man, what a time! for our professional debut straight out of Duke, was involved in a national title championship game. So she's having the time of her life. I got to talk to her in the mix zone after the game. He was he was highlighted in the presser after the game as well. So excited for her and what she did and brought to the team and to the game. And it's funny because Fabrice said she's versatile, but we were using her technically as a six at this point. But as you heard, she explained that she was given freedom as well to play the space and just see the game and play the game. And she wasn't limited to playing it in exact, being tight to playing like the six and holding back and being behind the attackers. She was free to play box, and she says she knows she could play box to box. Man, Maggie Graham is just an exciting player, bro. What did you see out of her?
A lot of potential. Granted, the goal itself, you wouldn't call it a masterclass that they thought about it in a split second, but a goal is still going to be a goal. And the one thing that really caught my attention was after the game when she was speaking about, and I highly recommend tuning into the press conference in Foxtrot game day, by the way. Like the way that she described how this team wants to use her gives me a lot of hope because she highlights the freedom, the type of freedom that she's given to drive the ball forward, and just being able to be substituted in for a player like Sophie Schmidt, a player that has seen a lot, and just having that type of upside as a young player, it means a lot, especially considering that Fabrice Gautrat has a lot of belief in Maggie's development or in the future. For me, it was just incredible just hearing her talk about it and how the team expects her to play and how she wants to play and how those align all together. So, I mean, the only thing I wanted to say is congratulations to Maggie just for getting her first professional goal in her first professional debut. It's incredible, honestly. Yeah, some people don't think about it because it's just okay, we lost this game, but this is massive. All these players, they don't know if they're gonna be playing professionally. They don't know if the team is gonna be, if they sign a contract, they don't know if they're gonna play or how they're gonna earn their starting spot. If you put out a sacrifice like that, your entire life just to be in that position and you get your professional goal, it's gonna sink in pretty quick. And just being in that type of situation is just incredible. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Maggie for that, and Ryan Gary's for the first assist of the season, if you can call it that. So, well, yeah,
Absolutely.
shout out to them.
You can call it that because it was an assist. It is an assist. So yeah, hell yeah, yeah. And that made it 2-1 at the 79-minute mark, leaving us with 11 minutes plus extra time, which was a lot of extra time. And the girls just kept firing and firing and firing. And Washington would try to push the field and couldn't push the field that much. Robin was getting dispossessed a lot. She even tried switching to the right side for a few minutes and then came back to the left. So she didn't work out, but you could tell she wasn't 100% either. But she a big girl, man. She a big, so I could see, seeing her in person for the first time, I could see how it's impossible to take the ball off of her when she's running at full pace. We did a good job, and we didn't allow her to get the full pace. But maybe one time, but it was just not direct on goal. There was a time that looked like it was dangerous where she was getting on goal, but we were able to get back and defend and, get in the way of her shot. But
yeah, Rotman was 1v1 with Jane, and that was the scariest part of the game for me.
Yeah, for real, because it was already yeah, it was still 2-0 at that point. I think it might have been 2-1 by now, but man, when you're fighting back, that just would have been a killer too. But 2-1. As we talk about the last 10 minutes of the game, why don't you go ahead and play the fourth clip, and let's obviously we lost, but you're looking at the stats. They're 2-1. You got your goal scorers, and look at the shots. We're taking the lead in the shots. All kinds of numbers are in our favor, left and right. And then here in a second, it's going to switch from first half to second half. And I want you to look at those numbers right there. The numbers in black, Washington, of course, taking that lead, the possession. Watch when it switches to second.
Yeah.
Well, look at the big difference, too. Washington didn't do anything, man. So, I took it back to the full game just to remind you of the stats. Move down to shots. And here again, I'm going to highlight the first and second half again. Because what a friggin' difference it made. So that's why Fabrice was just so mad. First half, look at him, the difference. And here we go. Watch it. Boom. Look at that big difference again between that amount of shots. And, shots on goal, too. Just hitting the target. And then we'll move on down, and then you see, the possession and the passes. I'm excited to see a lot of orange right there, especially against a very good defensive Washington team, man. So when you look at those numbers, what is highlighted at for you in that? What stands out?
The second half, easily the second half. Like if you watch the game, the first half was just miserable, for the most part. And you could have definitely seen here and there that, okay, this team needs to make some adjustments. The second half, they made some adjustments, and it worked out for them. They kind of just lost in the final scoreline, but they had all the pieces together, and they almost got that result. Like, they were very close. For me, it was just the fact that they've been able to get those types of shots. Granted, the shots on goal were kind of the same in between both teams, but still, we saw progress. We saw change. The numbers are right there. Like, for me, this team is just able to, as long as I see this team able to adapt into games and just improve over them, and the numbers are gonna tell the story. This team can go places. They got pretty close here tonight, and again, this is the Washington Spirit we're talking about. They lost the NWSL Championship last year. They're coming off the Challenge Cup win over Orlando to then either the triple,
Orlando team.
The treble. So it's a lot of credit goes to the Dash for, again, facing a tough opponent that understands how to play without their key starters at the same time. So a lot of credit goes to the team.
So yeah, a lot of positives. So you were in the press conference. Game's over, 2-1. We lost. We could not find that final goal. That we kept pushing, just could not find the final net, and unfortunately, we lost. But all the excitement was down on our end of the field for the entire second half. So that was the fun part of the game, just watching us just take shots and shots and shots and shots and shots. And just excitement, just watching some difference in some players and the way we were playing the game. But you went to the press conference afterwards when Fabrice got to talk. What was his move? What'd you get from him, from his perspective of the entirety of the game? Now, we heard about him in the first half, and now he saw what the second half, but we haven't heard from him. I wanted to hear from you. I didn't make a clip for him. I wanted to hear it from you since you were right there sitting in front of him.
A lot of optimism because he understands all the players are invested in the project, and they got very close to getting that type of result, and he understands that. The thing for me, Fabrice is so methodical, so obviously he's gonna rely on analytics now and then, but we've heard it so many times in the media appearances that he's there, that he wants this team to play in a particular style, and how much they're close to getting there, and how much the product we've seen so far has been. For me, I feel that very, I'd say that Fabrice has the capability of guiding us there. For me, he already proved his worth here in that type of game, because considering the opponent and considering the circumstances, he's taking this new team and is slowly molding them together to become something great. And of course, it's more more of the optimistic Fox person talking still, but look, we've been here before. We've seen like all these players like have some shoddy results, and there's still plenty of season to see what happens next. But for me, the way that Fabrice has been telling all these things tells me that he has a clear path forward, and with a new front office and all that to get a lot of investment into. I'm looking forward to it, and it really comes down to how the season turns out. But other than that, I'm very excited to see how it develops over time. Considering that, then again, like this type of team that we have is just great. This is a team that they had to believe in their product before signing up for it, and we still brought in like these type of big players that had a ton of experience and I'd say a ton of following like across Woso. So it's it's just great. I still believe in Fabrice. It's gonna be a matter of time to see how it really develops.
Yeah, great first impression on the first game, but uh, let's not judge him yet. Let's hold back for a minute because it is just one game. Granted, it was against the Washington Spirit. It was at home, but if you go to next week to Chicago and you lose and you look bad, it's going to be a different story and a different thought on Fabrice. So good first impression is like you said, we'll take it as for the first game. I'm with you. I like the way he talks, his intelligence, the way he sounds. So I'm pretty sure that's and you're hearing it from players too that they respect him, and he's a coach. He's a player's coach, and he's getting his perspective and his style out there, and the rest of the coaching staff is doing their part as well. So happy team leads to good things. It's a brand new start, playing a very tough team, unfortunately, but that's okay. Get in there and you got to fight. And I think it set the tone already. It showed the team what they're capable of. And you go next week and you try to implement that plan and execute it a little better than you did in the first half of this game. So I'm with you 100%, man. But all right, I want to focus. Yazmeen Ryan, first game for the Houston Dash. Rate her game. How do you think she did in her first game at home? Technically, her second game at home it was a women's national player game too. But with her team, the Houston Dash, how do you think she performed in her first game?
I would say slightly underwhelming, but it's mostly because Washington understood the assignment
Yeah,
and they had to contain her at all costs, and I feel like they did a pretty good job of that for a good chunk of the game. Because like from the first minute, like she was just like absolutely like doing the step overs, beating players left and right, and just ready to start eating, like just ready
yeah,
to like create some damage. And Washington right away they was like able to try and adapt and just leave her in a cage in a way that if she doesn't have the ball, like double up on players around her, don't give her a lot of windows of opportunity. And when she has the ball, it just feels like all the players defending her are just like covering all the spaces, or like all the players that she has like that type of window to create that key pass to send a player forward, or you just try to beat them. Because like if there's enough players around her, it's gonna be more difficult for her to beat them either way, and that's what I've seen in this game. So I wouldn't say like Yazmeen Ryan is washed because you'll be very, very dumb. But it was mostly just Washington. They just like knowing that okay, Yazmeen Ryan is gonna be a pain if we don't do something about it, and we have to cover her immediately from the first minute. And I
I think
feel
you
like
hit it. I think you hit it on the nose, man. They defended her
yeah,
well and defended her properly, and you saw moments out of her in a couple of times. But yeah, I think you hit it on the nose.
no, yeah, I was mostly just contain her right away because she was gonna be a bad time, and like you saw flashes. Like I saw the flashes on the field. Like she was gonna do some great things, but Washington just had a very, I would say like a pretty decent defensive game overall.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to agree with you on all that right there. She had her moments. She was defended well. So, but you saw it. You saw flashes. So I'm good with it. She'll get her moments, and I'm hoping we can take advantage of it when teams do that and try to overload one side that she's on, and that opens up Barb and maybe Avery on that other side a little more. You saw it kind of open up a little bit in the second half, so maybe that's something that she can do if teams want to be, let them say, hey, we're threatened by her, and we're gonna overload on that side. So good job. But and I'm pretty sure Fabrice is smart enough to realize that and catch that, and the staff is as well. So we'll look for that in the future. Those good switches, those quick switches. Looking for Barb over here doing this number because I've seen her a couple times asking for that big switch, and she loves taking defenders on 1v1, man.
Yep.
All right. I was very excited. You sat next to me during the game and probably heard my excitement during the minutes that this player played and made her debut for the Houston Dash was Evelina Duljan. You've mentioned her earlier in the show. I enjoyed every moment that she played in that game. But before she got here to the Houston Dash, she's a 21-year-old Swedish international with Nigerian descent. She's only 21 years old. Only 21 years old. I'm very excited when I saw her age and realized how old she was. I thought maybe 24, 25, but no, she's 21. A lot of potential here. Maybe explains, because a fan already asked me, why wasn't she starting? Easy. She's new to the team. Got to get her foot in. Getting her foot in. But Swedish international, Nigerian descent, 21 years old, grew up in Sweden playing through an academy there, and ended up going to Juventus for one season. And I guess, unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but both teams mutually terminated their contract. So, she had a multi-year contract and only survived a year. Ended up coming to the Orlando Pride last year for one full season. Only had a 1-year contract. Her contract ran out, and she ended up here in Houston Dash. And she's kind of a right back and a midfielder. You saw she played midfield and did a great friggin' job. But Evelina Duljan, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing her name, but that's a little bit about her. But now I want to get into the game, and I saw so much excitement, so much grit, so much fight. Her agility, her speed, not her speed, but her quickness. And this movement off the ball, lose the ball, get the ball back. She played every moment that she was in there, whether it was defending, attacking, moving the ball, passing the ball, the give and goes, working the ball on that right side with Avery. I loved every single moment that she played in that game, and she wowed me from the first. And I was not expecting this from her, and I'm not sure if you were expecting it from her, but I'm so glad she came out of, I guess, nowhere. So we'll have to do more and look into more and just keep a focus on her and highlight her. Evelina Duljan, man, do you have the same, the aurora that I have right now for her? Goosebumps.
I was left impressed with how she played, and I look forward to how she develops for sure because she just looks very promising from the get-go. For me, she's gonna catch if you're a forward, there's a good chance she's gonna catch up to you unless you're like a bullet train because she's just capable of just covering her space, covering her marker.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we'll still have a lot of season to see how if she turns out to be like a starter eventually. But just the way I saw this game, I'm very optimistic to see how she develops as a defensive piece for us. So looking forward to it. I was definitely impressed. I wasn't expecting a lot from her in this game, but she left me a pretty good first impression.
And so, like I said, someone asked why was she starting? Well, we don't know. We don't know what the hell's going on. But I think you kind of mentioned it earlier in the show with what Fabrice started with was experience and what you knew. Yeah, what you knew you could put out there. And that's what Fabrice did. Sophie Smith, what a fighter, what a grinder. But that might be one of those players who ends up kind of finding the bench for some of these new players coming in and fighting for her spot. Maggie Graham coming in and playing as a six and having a freelance. So Fabrice has a lot to do, so that it may be this, to this point where, Sophie's at the end of her career, where she may just be coming off the bench and being a spark and being that brute player that comes in and holds down the midfield at the end of the game when we need her to hold it down. I don't know, man. I love it, man. I love what we have and the opportunity we have, and I think that point you pointed out earlier with going with the experience first. So it'll be interesting to see the next lineup that comes out. All right, I want to move on to the fan question. I did get one fan question from Jake from Bio City Republic. Jake, we got the H's and the horns. You know that, buddy. All right, so Andres, this is two-parter, but we're gonna separate them. So, what were the good things you saw in the dash game? Granted, I know we kind of explained a bunch of it, but what were the good things that you saw in the dash during the game?
Adapting to the game, I feel like that was one of the most important aspects to it. Just being able to come off to the second half, come off halftime with that type of grit and understanding of what they have to do, and almost coming out of the game with a product, with a tangible product or like a result there. For me, it was big because those are the type of games. Like as a Dash fan, as a person that has been following the Dash, you're just expecting here like for the other teams to like come out of the game with more goals, and us not doing much about it. And again, like it's comes down to the opponent we're facing. Like we saw progress. I saw like players just coming out of doing their own thing and just like making their own statement when it comes to the performance overall. And that's what I liked about it. Like even though it was the first game, there's still a lot to see yet. I don't think there's reason to give up on this team or really just be pessimistic about it because this is a new team. If you watch the game, you know what you saw. And it's just a matter of time for them to keep developing and hopefully keep getting these positive results here.
Yeah, I was impressed with the way they were able to transition against this type of team that they were playing against, and believe just the fact that they were able to believe in themselves and show that they could play the game, especially against this type of team. So, yeah, man, I agree. I agree with you on that. 1B, also from Jake. What do you think the Dash need to improve on?
I guess from the surface level, we could definitely use like some sort of game changer on the team, but that's kind of difficult to answer or like try to fill because we kind of are full right now, and we still have players that are injured and or just like unavailable. So it's kind of
I think
tough.
he meant like tactically.
Tactically, okay.
Yeah, from what do they need to take from that game, and what do you think they need to improve on besides the fact that they just need to believe in themselves and play real soccer? Did anything stand out did Fabrice mention anything in the presser that maybe there was something that he would like to focus on or just kind of stood out to you maybe?
I was mostly just thinking about like what if Diana Ordóñez came back and see how found a way to get her goals, because the one thing that I saw here is that we could definitely use or like adjust around having a playmaker, and we definitely have those type of players, but like how effective are they gonna be to like provide to the forwards, because that was like a big thing. And we definitely saw those flashes in the second half, but if Diana Ordóñez comes back, which it will be great, honestly, sometimes I wonder like how consistent are we gonna be as an attacking force or in the build up towards the final third, because I definitely saw some things that kind of concern me, or like how consistent we're gonna be this season. And granted, we're only one game in, and this team is still trying to get to know each other. So I could just be wrong, but I feel like that's my main worry right now, or tactically speaking.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, like on the offensive side of that, and just how we use our how we use our striker more. I do like that, we were able to get Messiah Bright the ball a lot, but it was every time it was back to goal. So maybe once or twice it was going forward, which that's the idea. You want to get her going forward. The closer you get to goal, obviously the ball's going to come from angles. But yeah, I would like, improve on that a little bit and see if you can get the ball more direct. And then I think that also will open up Barb again even more, which would be crazy because, if you open her up and give her space, she's going to knock some bangers out right there. And she may fight. I said last week MVP of the team this season, and I expected her to have a spectacular season. That's with Yazmeen Ryan on her left over there. And Ordonia is coming back and expected to get, her goals because she still scores goals, but there's just not many goals that Asherman scores. So that's kind of crazy to say, but I'm with you there. Jake, thank you for the question. Appreciate the support. Like I said again, H's and horns. So next up, we play the Chicago Stars. Right? Yeah, they're not the Red Stars no more.
They
right?
rebranded to Stars now, which I felt like was dumb, but they're called the Stars officially.
I mean, I get it. There's some whatever. Who cares? Name yourself whatever you want to name yourself. But
Red Stars was so much fun, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, Chicago Stars. Woo. That kind of sounds boring, but whatever. That is our next opponent next weekend or this coming weekend on Sunday at 6:00. Andres, do you know the channel that it's going to be on real quick, or could you check real quick as I talk about it on preview here real quick? But it is a Sunday game, 6:00 on the road. Shea Groom is still a Chicago Star, so that'll be fun to see her. She did start against Orlando in Orlando, so she may get another start. So that'll be fun for me, to, at least to watch her. I've always liked Shea Groom. What you got?
So it's going to be on NWSL Plus and Paramount Plus.
Okay, so both. You can always go watch the replay on NWSL Plus, and typically you can go watch it on Paramount Plus unless there's some kind of issues. So the replays of the games are always out there too for most of these platforms, but NWSL Plus, there is a replay. So if you miss the game, you can always go back and watch it. Or if you need to go watch it again, you can always go watch it again. But before
NWSL Plus, sorry for interrupting, but NWSL Plus, if you don't know yet, you don't need to pay like a subscription fee or anything, but you do need to create an account and sign in so you can use it.
Yeah, free, but you get to use whatever you want. You get to watch all the games too. All the other NWSL games too. I enjoy watching them. I had some fun. I watched a couple of MLS games this weekend too, but I was watching some NWSL for the fun and just to get to grow and know the league a little bit more. But let's preview Chicago. Like I said, it's a Shea Groom. I really don't, they don't have any stars on their team except for Melissa Nair, but we all know that she's coming to the end of her career as she's retired from international play. But Chicago also lost 6-0 to Orlando this weekend. Got blasted by the best team in the league, I'll say. So take us into this preview against the Chicago Quiet Stars.
Yeah, because I was just looking around for like at the roster, and the name, of course, Shea Groom is there, and
Stab is a defender that doesn't look like she's healthy. Only got 10 minutes to play last game. I think she's a U.S. national team player. Yeah, they're just. It looks like they're just a struggling team and didn't have that well of an off season, and is probably not projected to do too well in the season. But that's going to be their first home game. It's opening home game for them. Like you said, Shea Groom will be starter. Not like she's like a premier player or anything that's going to make a difference, but she does know how to score goals still. But so I guess for me, I'm previewing a friggin' win. But is there anything that scares you from Chicago that you're seeing right there as you look from their roster? Looking at their last stats, their stats against Orlando too, They literally got drugged. I mean, drugged. 25 shots to 8 shots. So they got drugged. So if I know Orlando's got a lot better players than the dash two in the attacking category right now, but if they're able to do that and push that off, man, this is hopeful for me. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, we have Chicago next. If we go out and lose this game, it'd be different, you know. See, but what you got?
Honestly, for me, like just comparing it to the game against Orlando is just like unfair. But but I mean, they could just be either the same thing or something completely different in the second game, especially like on the road. We did see positive results on the road last year. It could be the same type of play or like at least the same type of momentum. But it's gonna. I feel like it's gonna be another good test to see how we're doing and how do we apply things in an environment like that, especially on the road. And we'll see how consistent they are coming out of a very solid second half. So I'm looking forward to this game, like only because we might see like some new things, or we might just see the same lineup, or just see them with the same lineup and applying different things. So it's gonna be exciting. So obviously hoping for the win as always, but yeah, this game is gonna be interesting.
So from sounding the way Fabrice was talking, I'm not expecting too much change in the style of attack. You never know because home and away coaches like to play different, but I'm not expecting too much different here. So I'm looking forward to. Man, it's crazy. Like you said, we're optimistic. So that's why I said OSG right there, optimistic soccer guy. I'm not calling myself old soccer guy anymore. Really optimistic Foxtrot. So
Always.
After the way we played against Washington and just looked so good, and the way the confidence in your coach, and talking to the girls after the game too. I was in the mixer. You were at the presser. I got to talk to Messiah Wright, Maggie Graham, Katie Lynn. Oh crap! Oh, and Natalie Jacobs. And you got Katie Lynn and Maggie Graham inside the presser with front everything. Everybody sounds so confident. Katie Lynn even apologized to the coach for losing the game because they're so disappointed in themselves, and it felt like it wasn't fair for him in this in this game, and that's what it was. You fell apart to start the game. You didn't believe in yourself, and ended up losing. But I'm expecting. Sound crazy. This gonna sound crazy. I'm gonna say a 3-1 victory in Chicago with the goals coming from. I'm gonna go to all three sides of the field. Yazmeen Ryan's going to find one. You're going to find one central, and you're going to find one from the right side. I would like, just because I've fell in love with a player and the way she plays already, I'm going to see a goal from Duljan. And then the second one, man, what would be great is if Maggie scored again. So those are my three goal scorers. I would love for Avery to get one, but right now I love you too, Avery. But yeah, those are my three goal scorers. So there's some assists coming in there from you, Avery. I hear some assists. Maybe all three assists come in from you, Avery. That's where you come in with the highlight show. But Fox, what do you think? And give me a prediction of what you see coming out of this game.
I think it might just be like a close game. Even though I think Houston can win it. Like for me, it's just gonna come down to the attack and how close we get to that performance, like we saw against Washington. Really, I feel like I see Maggie Graham getting a goal contribution here. Like it could just be a goal or an assist, and if she gets the assist, I feel like Barb is gonna get the first goal of the year, and then Yazmeen Ryan. So like I said, I'm looking forward to this game because we could be seeing a lot of good things, or just like how how good this team is, like coming out, like just facing a different opponent that has like definitely has like some different momentum going on for them. So we'll definitely see. But I'm looking forward to it.
All right, people, if y'all listen to this, we want y'all's predictions in the comments, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on X, whether it be on Instagram, wherever you see this. I want y'all's comment. What do y'all think the score is going to be? We'll come back and highlight it. And you know what? If you get it right on the nose with who's going to score the goals too, you don't have to get the other team goal scorer correct. If you get it every time, we'll put your name in a hat and we'll save you for later. Or whenever we do a giveaway later in the season, that's going to be Dash related. Possibly, a replica jersey, some tickets to the game, an invite to a pregame, all kinds of stuff. So look forward to it. But I'm expecting a little more than you, Andres, for this road game. But it's like I said, we'll have to see how we play, see what happens, see what's gonna be used. But NWSL Roundup, I want to tell the people the scores, just because we love to share the WOSO. Orlando beat Chicago 6-0. We lost to Washington 1-2. Kansas City continued their ways 3-1. Portland's a pretty bad team, so we're going to keep an eye on them this year just to see who the bottom of the table is going to be this year. Utah and Bay went out for a rivalry fight 1-1. Louisville and North Carolina with a rivalry game already 1-1. Seattle and Gotham. Gotham already had to travel across the world, and I was curious about Gotham. Seattle is the old whatever they were, so we already forgot what their name is now. But Gotham, I was curious about because they just basically flushed their entire team down the toilet into other teams, and didn't know what to expect from them. They ended up tying 1-1. OL Reign or whatever they were. And then my friends at Angel City, they ended up tying San Diego 1-1. So that was a curious game to follow as well. But 1-1 to 1-1 to 1 to 1 to 1. There were 4 ties in the league, and then the other 3 games had decisions. So NWSL, anything stand out there? Anything you want to say about the NWSL Roundup?
I mean, aside from Orlando's win, yeah, I was kind of impressed with how many drops we got. This
Banda with 2, Chawinga with 1. Just to mention your potential Golden Boot winners.
Yeah, Chawinga's just insane. Like I don't know how this is not a cheat code, but Chawinga's just incredible. Yeah, she definitely scared the crap out of me when we played her like on the road last year.
Check out that banger from Banda too. At the end of that Orlando game, it felt like it was 40 yards out. She just took a rip and put it over the keeper into the top of the net. Maybe 30 yards out, not quite 40, but it was just a Jesus Christ, a banger, and that's why you can't. Well, how do you defend her? Because if you get close, she's going to try to burn you with speed. But interesting. NWSL, what a good time it is, and a great season. Hey, will you pull up next week's schedule real quick for the NWSL for me?
Yeah.
So hopefully, so Houston can get this dub coming in and push Chicago down and work their way back home the following weekend. But a lot of parity in the NWSL. That's why everything is always interesting to see how you start every season with all these new players and new roster build. But won't you take me through the schedule real quick for this coming week?
Yeah. This Friday we do have Portland Thorns hosting Angel City. And that's going to be, this is a West Coast 9 p.m. game. Sucks for us, but yep, it is what it is. Saturday, when we move on to that day, we have North Carolina hosting Seattle Reign. And after that, we do have Washington Spirit facing Kansas City Current. I feel like that's going to be a big game.
I'm watching
like
that.
A high-scoring game. It might end up like 7-7 or something like that. I don't know. But, well, yeah. San Diego Wave facing Utah Royals. And Bay FC against Racing Louisville for the last game of the day.
Who did Orlando get? Oh, you said for the day, Saturday. Sorry.
For the moving on to Sunday, we do have the first game of the day at 4 p.m. against the Stars, Chicago Stars. at 4 p.m. It's going to be on
4 p.m.
NWSL Plus and Paramount Plus. Yes. And after that, we do have this game going on at the same time as ours, Gotham versus Orlando. I feel like Orlando can just run away with it. And I don't feel like you said, Gotham is a good team unless they can show it.
We'll have to review the roundup next week again and see how these games went off, and we'll keep an eye out through them every episode as we go through the year. Just talk about the games and how the standings are being affected and the way teams are playing and what to expect out of teams as they become opponents eventually throughout the schedule. So, Andres, man, thank you for coming in tonight. I want you to go ahead and just tell the people where to find us, and also tell them about our Foxtrot game days.
Yeah, man. At Dynamic Foxtrot, it's going to be on Twitter. Now it's called X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And also on Twitter, now X, we do have No Tiempo as a separate handle to cover all the news that happen around the Dash space. You could also say the Wilson space, but that we're going to focus on Dash no matter what as the season starts. 3 teams playing at the same time, but at the end of the day, we're going to be Dash all day, every day. So stay tuned to that all season long. Also, whatever you hear this podcast, Dash Dispatch, as always, is going to be on your favorite podcast platform. Just look up Noodle Time. You're going to see us there. And just a quick shout out to everyone that has been very supportive to Dash Dispatch, man. Like, this podcast has been blowing up, like putting out a lot of good numbers. So we do appreciate the continued support wherever you're listening or watching. Like, we do appreciate it. And then, of course, whenever you give us a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel or Ghost TV, it means the world to us. So we do appreciate that. So yeah, and also wherever you watch the podcast
on the concourse and stop by and introduce yourselves. Hi to y'all. I appreciate y'all stopping by and taking the literally 2 seconds to say hi to us. It means a lot to us.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Like, even if you just say hi, it means the world to us, like for 1 second. So we do appreciate support, like in the stadium or whatever you're tuning into us. So we do appreciate that, guys. And whenever you watch us on YouTube, just look up Foxtrot TV. You're going to see all of our content there. Goals TV, if you haven't checked it out already, good platform to check out other soccer content creators like us. And it's going to be a goals.tv, that's spelled with a Z. We're also going to be there. It's going to be goals.tv / Dynamic Foxtrot, like our handle on our platforms, like I mentioned. And yeah, guys, stay tuned to our content all season long. Like I said earlier, 3 teams playing at the same time, but we have the pedal on the gas right now. Like, we're going 500 miles per hour. It's going to be incredible, and we got about 8 months of this ahead of us.
Ready for it. Let's go. Let's do it. Guys, ladies, youngins, I might have a couple kids listening while their dad is listening. Angel, I see you out there getting ready for the car show in June. Man, Elotes corn, right? What is it? Elotes Bravos?
Elotes Bravos.
Yeah. He ran into him a few times this weekend. But so y'all go check out that stand in the stadium when you're in there. Tell them we said hi. From the Foxtrot family, from the Surge family as well. They know who we are. Just tell them you said hi. Go check out their stand and eat some good food, man. But again, I want to thank y'all, and I think what, that's gonna be it for today because we've hit an hour mark. But as always, people, let's throw the mages up, and we'll see you next time. Peace.